Hello everyone. In the previous videos, we already discussed about the various SQL, DDL and DML commands in detail. And in this video, let us look into some more complex forms of SQL queries, which includes join expressions, view definitions and transactions. First, let us discuss about join expressions. A join operation is performed when the data to be retrieved are spread in more than one table at a time. So it takes two or more relations and returns as with another relation. To join tables, we have to enumerate the table list in the from clause of the select statement, and the DBMS will create the Cartesian product of every table in the from clause. For example, select star from instructor comma teachers. So a Cartesian product between the table instructor and teachers will be performed when we execute this particular query. So Cartesian product, it is nothing but concatenation of each tuple of the first relation with the every tuple of the second relation. So it is a type of join. So the list of tables to be joined need to be included in the from clause of the select statement. As we already discussed in the previous videos, we know that the Cartesian product is different from the natural join operation. The natural join operation pairs the tuples with the same value on the common attributes that appears in both the relations. And we'll be knowing that two types of joins are there, the inner join and the outer join. The keyword used for representing the inner join is inner and that of outer join is outer. The default join type when the join clause is used without the outer prefix is the inner join. That is, the keyword inner is optional. So when we are just specifying the word join, it means that we are going to perform the inner join. Similarly, natural join is equivalent to natural inner join. The natural join operation selects only those tuples in which the common attribute values matches. So this join condition is generally composed of an equality comparison between the foreign key and the primary key of the related tables. That means the common attribute values in the related tables. And we can check whether these common attribute values are matching or not with the help of the where clause of the select statement. Okay, fine. Now let us look at an example. Select instructor.id comma name from instructor comma teachers where instructor.id is equal to teachers.id. So in the where clause, we are checking whether the common attribute values are matching or not. So we are performing the natural join operation between the table instructor comma teachers who is having the common attribute as id. So whether this if these two ids are matching, then the instructor id with the name will be displayed. The second query statement, select instructor.id comma name from instructor natural join teachers. So if you are specifying the keyword natural join, it automatically selects the rows in which the common attribute values are matches. So here we are not specifying the where clause. So both of the above query generate the same result. Okay. When the same attribute name appears in more than one of the joined tables, the source table of the attributes listed in the select command sequence must be defined. That is, in the case of this instructor and teachers, they are having the common attribute as ID. Since both are having the same attribute name, and if you want to display the ID of the instructor, we have to specify the source table like instructor.id. So using this dot operator, we have to specify the source table of the attributes listed in the select command. Okay, so we are taking the ID of the instructor. So with the help of this dot operator, we have to specify the source table of the attributes. So in the from clause, we can have multiple number of relations. So these multiple relations can be combined using this natural join. Select A1, A2 up to AN from T1 natural join T2, natural join T3, etc. natural join Tm where P. So this A1, A2 denotes the attribute name, T1 represents the table names, and P specifies the condition, the predicate. So we can have multiple relations combined using natural join in the from clause of an SQL query. Now let us look at an example. We want to list out the name of instructors along with the titles of courses that they teach. So the details of instructors, the name of instructors are there in the instructor table. The course title details are there in the course table, and the instructor taking courses or teaching courses, the details of that one are there in the teachers table. That means we need to join three tables to answer this query. Okay, the instructor table, teachers table, and course table. So we want to perform the natural join operation between the instructor and teachers. Both are having a common attribute named as ID. So we are performing the natural join operation between these two tables. Okay, so select name comma title from instructor natural join teachers comma course where teachers dot course id is equal to course dot course id. So the natural join of instructor and teachers is first computed, and a Cartesian product of this result with the course relation is computed, from which the where clause extracts only those tuples where the course id matches. So only those courses, only those titles of those courses who is taught by the instructor will be need to be displayed. So we'll be checking whether the teachers.course id is equal to course.course id. Okay, so first it performs the natural join between the instructor and teachers table, then it performs the Cartesian product between the resultant relation and the course table. Till now we discussed about the where clause, which can be used for specifying the predicate or the condition. We can also make use of the keyword on, which allows a general predicate however the relations being joined. So this predicate is written like a where clause predicate except for the use of the keyword on rather than where. Okay, so it works very similar to the where clause. We are using the keyword on rather than where. That's the only difference. And this on condition, as in the case of where clause, this on clause also appears at the end of the join expression. Let us look at an example. The previous example, select star from instructor join teachers on instructor.id is equal to teachers.id. So this on condition above specifies that a tuple from the instructor matches a tuple from the teachers if their id values are equal. So this on condition works very similar to the where clause of the select statement. So this on condition is used for specifying the predicate over the relations being joined. Till now we discussed about a type of inner join called as natural join. The natural join operations selects only those tuples that are having a match in their common attribute. Okay, so the non-matched tuples will be eliminated in the inner join. But in the case of outer join, such loss of information is avoided. It preserves those tuples that would be lost in a join by creating tuples in the result containing null values. So it computes the join and then add tuples from one relation that does not match tuples in the other relation to the result of the join. We'll be having three types of outer joins: left outer join, right outer join, and full outer join. In the left outer join, it preserves tuples in the relation named before the left outer join operation, that is the relation to the left of the table. So it preserves the tuple in the left relation. The right outer join similarly preserves tuples in the relation named after the right outer join operation. That means it preserves tuples in the right relation. And the full outer join preserves tuples from both the relations. Okay, now let us consider an example. We are given with two tables, course table and pre-request table. The course table consists of four attributes: course ID, title, department name and credits. And the pre-request table consists of the attribute course ID and pre-request ID. The course information consists of three tuples with the course ID bio 301, CS190 and 3S315. And in the pre-request table, we are having the course ID BIO 301, CS190 and CS347. So please note that the pre-request information is missing for CS315 and the course information is missing for the course CS347. So to the table, course and pre-request, we are going to perform the three types of outer join. First, let us look into the left outer join. The syntax is select star from course natural left outer join pre-request. So the left table is course here. So it preserves all the tuples from the left relation. So the course ID bio 301, CS190 and CS315 is preserved. Okay, but for the tuple CS315, the prerequisite ID is missing. So that term will be filled with null. Okay, now let us perform the right outer join between these two tables. Select star from course natural right outer join prerequest. So the right table here is prerequest. So it preserves all the tuples in the right table. Okay, so the course ID bio 301, CS190, CS347 of the right table is preserved here. But for the tuple CS347, the corresponding course details are missing. So such details will be filled with null values. Okay, now let us perform the full outer join between these two tables. So if you are performing this full outer join, then it preserves the tuples from both the relations. So we'll be having a total of four tuples, which includes bio 301, CS190. These two are common tuples in both the relations. Then the CS315 from the first table and CS347 from the right table. Okay, whatever be the missing values, that values will be filled with null. So that's about the three types of outer join. So the keyword used here is left outer join, right outer join and full outer join. Of course, we can make use of the keyword natural too. Natural left outer join, natural right outer join and natural full outer join. Okay, fine. Now let us discuss about views. The security considerations may require that certain data need to be hidden from certain users. So a view provides a mechanism to hide certain data from the view of certain users. So it provides a level of security in the database because this view can restrict users to only some specified columns and rows of a table. So a view is nothing but a virtual table created based on a select query. So any relation that is not part of the logical model but is made visible to a user as a virtual relation is called a view. So it is nothing but a virtual table. It is not a part of our logical data model, but it is visible to the user as a virtual table. Okay, so this virtual table can be called as view. So in this view, the users will be given with only some specified columns and rows of a table. Okay, so it is a virtual table created using a select query. So this virtual relation is not pre-computed and stored. Instead, it is computed by executing the query whenever this virtual table is used. So it is not a pre-computed one and it is not stored anywhere. Instead, it is computed on the demand. The syntax for creating the view is using this create view statement, which has the form create view, view name as query expression. And this query expression can be any legal SQL expression. Once a view is defined, this view name can be used for referring to the virtual relation that this view generates. Now let us look at an example. We are going to create a view that lists all course sections offered by the MCA department in the third semester of 2019 batch with the building and room number of each section. Okay, so the details, we have to display all the course sections offered by the MCA department. So the course details, the course ID, the department name, etc. are there in the course table, and the semester detail, the batch details, etc. are there in the section table. So we need to combine these two tables, okay, course and section, and we are going to create a view, okay, on these two tables. Create view MCA 3rd 2019, that is the view name, as then we need to specify the query expression. So in this query expression, we have to check some conditions, right? We have to check whether the department name is MCA, whether the section semester is 3rd, and whether the section academic year is 2019. So we have to check these three conditions. Also, we are joining these two tables, course comma section, right? So we are joining this table, so we have to check whether the common ID attributes are matching or not. Okay, so the query expression is select course dot course ID comma section ID comma building comma room number from the tables course comma section, where the course dot course ID is equal to section dot course ID. So the common attribute are matching or not, whether we are checking that. And the department name, course dot department name is equal to MCA, and section dot semester is equal to 3rd, and section dot year is equal to 2019. So when all these conditions are satisfying, the tuples that satisfies all these four conditions will be displayed. Okay, that one will be moved to a virtual table which is having the name as MCA 3rd 2019. Once we defined this view, we can use this view name to refer to this virtual relation. So using this view that we just created, MCA 3rd 2019, which consists of the course ID, section ID, building name, etc., we can find all the MCA courses offered in the third semester of 2019 batch in the Watson building. So the building details are there, this view, right? So we can just check whether this building is equal to Watson. So the query now becomes select course ID from the table name. So here we are using half this virtual table name MCA 3rd 2019, where building is equal to Watson. So we can make use of this view table, this virtual table, for getting the details like other type of, it can work similar to the other tables. As we said, this view can hide certain details from the users, right? So if you want to hide the salary details of an instructor from a set of users, we can do that one with the help of a view. So here we are creating a view called as faculty, which excludes the details of the instructor's salary. So create view faculty as select ID, name, department name from instructor. So this faculty is very similar to the instructor. The only difference is that the salary attribute is not included in the view table named as faculty. Okay, fine. Now, so this virtual table can act as a normal table, right? We can insert new tuple to this faculty view using this insert command. Insert into faculty values the ID, the name, and the department. We can give that one. Okay, so this insertion must be represented by the insertion of the tuple ID, comma, the name, comma, the department name, comma, null into the instructor relation. Okay, so this faculty is actually a virtual table. So whenever we are inserting that a new tuple into this view table, in the view table some of the attributes are missing, right? The salary attribute is missing. So whatever be the attributes missing, that attributes missing attributes will be filled with null values in the parent table. Okay, as we discussed in the previous slides, view is nothing but a virtual table. It is not a pre-computed one and it is not stored anywhere. Materialized view is a type of view which can be stored physically on the disk. This materialized view can also be called as snapshots, and it is a pre-computed data set derived from a query specification, and it can be stored for later use. Because the data is pre-computed, querying a materialized view is faster than executing the original query. So the major difference between the view and the materialized view is materialized view are stored physically on the disk. Okay, since it is stored and since it is pre-computed, the querying this view is faster than executing the original query. Like a view, to create this materialized view, select statement can be used. Okay, and this materialized view can also be called as snapshots. So how to create a materialized view using this select statement? Let us look into that. If the dependent tables or the actual relations used in the view definition changes, then this materialized view also need to be kept up to date. And the process of keeping this materialized view up to date can be called as materialized view maintenance. Okay, so we need to keep our materialized view up to date whenever there occurs a change in the dependent table. And these materialized views are useful in new applications such as data warehousing, replication servers, data visualization, and mobile systems. In the create materialized view statement, we can create a materialized view. So the syntax is create materialized view name, build, immediate or deferred, refresh, fast or complete or false, on, commit or demand as the query expression. An example, create materialized view mv underscore employee, that is the view name, then build, immediate, refresh, complete, on, commit as select star from employee. So in the syntax, we are given with some optional parameters. The term immediate means materialized views are created immediately. So this view will be built immediately. The term deferred means that this view will create only after one refresh. Only after one refresh, this view will be built. Okay, so build can be either immediate or deferred. So immediate means immediately after executing this query, a materialized view will be created. The term deferred means that this view will be created only after one refresh. And we'll be having various types of refresh like fast, complete, and force. So as we said, we'll be having three types of refresh types: fast, complete, and force. Fast and force. A fast refresh is attempted in both the cases. In fast, if materialized view logs are not present against the source tables in advance, the creation will fail. In force, if one is not possible to perform this fast refresh, a complete refresh is performed. So a complete means the table segment supporting the materialized view is truncated and repopulated completely using this associated query. So this materialized view is truncated. Truncate means we are removing that. Entire thing will be removed and it will be redesigned or repopulated, recreated completely using the associated query. So these are the three types of refresh type used in the materialized view: fast, force, and complete. And this refresh can be activated in one of the two ways, either on demand or on commit. So whenever a committed data change, whenever a committed data entry happens on the dependent tables, then the refresh is triggered. Or the refresh can be initiated by a manual request or a scheduled task. That means whenever we are in need of a refresh, we can do that one. So on demand, a refresh is initiated, then this refresh can be triggered. Okay. Now let us discuss about the term transactions. A transaction is nothing but a logical unit of work consisting of one or more SQL statements, and it is guaranteed to be atomic with respect to recovery. So this transaction consists of sequence of query and or update statements. A transaction begins implicitly when an SQL statement is executed. And this standard specifies that an SQL transaction automatically begins with a transaction initiating SQL statement executed by a user or a program. The changes made by a transaction are not at all visible to other concurrently executing transactions until the transaction completes. Okay. The ISO standard defines a transaction model based on two SQL statements: commit and rollback. So one of the following SQL statements end the transaction: commit work or the rollback work. Commit work commits the current transaction. It ends the transaction successfully, making the database changes permanent. So it ends the transaction successfully, making the changes permanent, committed. A new transaction starts after commit with the next transaction initiating statement. And the second statement is rollback. It causes the current transaction to be rolled back. That is, it aborts all the updates performed by the SQL statements in the transaction. Thus, the database state is restored to what it was before the first statement of the transaction was executed. Okay, so these two are the SQL statements that ends the transaction: commit and the rollback. The keyword work is optional in both the statements. The commit means it commits the current transaction and it ends up the transaction successfully, making the database changes permanent. And the rollback means it causes the current transaction to be rolled back. That is, it abort all the updates performed by the SQL statements in the transaction. Rollback work is useful if some error condition is detected during execution of a transaction. Once a transaction has executed commit work, its effects can no longer be undone by a rollback. That is, once a transaction is committed, we can't roll back it. We can't undo it. The database system guarantees that in the event of some failure, a transaction's effects will be rolled back if it has not yet executed the commit work statement. So in case the transaction couldn't complete, the condition is neither all the effects of the transaction are reflected in the database or none. So if a failure occur, it will be rolled back. So the condition is the transaction are reflected in the database as complete or none. Let us look at an example. We are considering a bank application where we need to transfer money from one account to another in the same bank. Okay. To do so, we need to update two account balances, subtracting the amount transferred from one and adding it to the another. Okay. So I'm having two account balances. From the first account, I subtracted or I withdrew some money, namely 10,000, and I'm going to add this 10,000 to the second account. If the system crashes after subtracting the amount transferred from the first account but before adding it to the second account, the bank balances would be inconsistent. A similar problem would occur if the second account is credited before subtracting the amount from the first account and the system crashes just after crediting the amount. So in this video, we discussed about some complex form of SQL queries using this join expressions, views, and transactions. Thank you.